Sorry about that. There we go. I'm going to start again. Okay, so welcome to everybody. Sorry about that. I'm going to have to start again. Yeah, so we're just talking about the history of Bitcoin. So okay. Yeah, so back in 2009, there was an anonymous guy, Satoshi Nakamoto, who developed this. And what the whole point of it was to break away from the systems. Because obviously what's happened is now we have the elite, 1%, and so many of the governments, the banks, the corporations, they own so much of it. There is so much inequality, there's so much corruption, there's so much deceit going on with the system at the moment. And so this was why Bitcoin was developed, was so that we can have something that was just decentralized. And basically what it is, it's peer-to-peer. So once you own some Bitcoin or any of the other alternative coins, you can send from your own wallet to somebody else's wallet without having to go through a bank, without having to go through a third party. So it's really trying to take it, because that's where the money is made. A third party always makes money from your transactions, from keeping your money, all of this sort of stuff. There's always a third party who kind of owns your money basically, and who holds it and who makes money from your money. So this is a way of decentralizing, of coming out of the system. And really taking more control of your money, of going, this is mine and I'd like to send it here. Bitcoin is incredibly secure. So it's built on what's called blockchain technology. I don't know a massive amount about the technology, and I won't pretend that I do, but each transaction is validated by numerous computers around the world. So it isn't just held on one server, and this is why it's so secure, is that it's because it's having to be validated, and these are called, I think they're called Bitcoin miners, who you have their computers set up. And there's huge big rigmarole in the whole blockchain technology. But because it's validated by many, many different computers, each single transaction, it means it's not held on one. It can't be hacked, because it's happening all around the world. So they've never been able to hack Bitcoin itself. The only hacking that's ever happened has been on exchanges. So this is where you can purchase Bitcoin. You're using your own, like what we call fiat currency. So fiat currency is like American dollars, Australian dollars, pounds. That's what they call fiat currency. So when you buy Bitcoin, you should always you use your Australian money, you buy your Bitcoin or whichever coin, and then you take it straight off the exchange and you keep it in a wallet. And that keeps it safe. Okay, so and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So there is only 21 million. Like I said, we're probably about 17 or 18 million, I think, because of the ones that have been lost over the last few years. So it means that it can never be devalued. And this is one of the other really important parts of Bitcoin, is that it can't be devalued. With, we've seen over the last few years, since the GFC, that we've been printing money off, so we're literally devaluing the currency. And we see in places like Venezuela, Zimbabwe, suddenly when the country goes into chaos, they just start printing off money. And so what was $1 suddenly, something that you'd purchase for $1, you're purchasing for $1 million. They've completely devalued the currency. And it becomes absolutely worthless. So that can never happen with Bitcoin, because it is only a finite number. It just gets divided smaller and smaller and smaller, and the cost per Bitcoin goes up and up and up. So that's kind of the, I guess, one of the important things about the value of it. Like I say, the vision was to come away from the systems, was to break away from the control that the elite have, that the governments have, and to really bring it back to the people. And your Bitcoin and all the other alternative coins are available to anybody who has access to the internet. That's all you need is access to the internet and a way to put money into it. And once you've got that, then you can send, because if you look at, say, like Western Union, there's so many people in India or Pakistan or whatever, who go away and earn money in another country and send it home. There's millions and millions and millions of people who do that, and the cost of that is huge. So Western Union charge astronomical prices for them to do that, but it's the only way at the moment. It's the only way for them to do this. So a lot of the people who have a vision of what Bitcoin and these other alternative coins can do is to take out that third party, so that they can, they earn their money, they legitimately earn their money, and then they can send it home without having these ridiculous transfer fees and transaction fees. So it is about trying to spread it a lot more equally, allow people to have a lot more access to it. There's a lot more people that have access to the internet than they do a bank account, especially in places like Africa and these where, they just don't, but they will have access to internet. So it really allows a lot more availability to the people. So that was also part of the vision. It's, the transactions are pretty much instantaneous. So it doesn't take 3 to 5 days like it does for, say Western Union or through banks, and they don't hold it all. It literally, if I send it to somebody else, they'll literally receive it in a few seconds. So it's an instantaneous process. And like I said, and it's virtually unhackable. They haven't been able to, and I'm sure many many people have tried to hack Bitcoin. They've never been able to. It is only through the exchanges that they've been able to hack into it. So the way that it's set up with the technology, it's so verified in so many different places that it is impossible to hack. So that's kind of a bit about the history of it. Now, where we are at the moment, like I said, we had, I think the first time they ever traded Bitcoin, they traded 10,000 or 100,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. Do you know, like that's the story with the first trade of Bitcoin. And obviously that year, and then it went through a kind of really quite dark period where they suddenly realized that because it isn't actually anonymous, but there's a lot less awareness of who's doing transactions. It started to go underground. So there was a lot of rogue stuff going on. There was a website, I think was it called the Silk Road or something, I think, and they used Bitcoin and they were selling drugs and all sorts of, and fake driver's licenses and all this sort of stuff. And so that all got shut down. So it started off as a really kind of rogue thing for people who are desperate to break from the system and use it for more illegitimate reasons. But there's been a lot more, there's a lot more kind of control over it, in the fact that you need to say who you are when you sign up for the exchange and stuff like that. So it's making it less for rogue. And then, like I say, institutions and everything else have started to get involved. And what happened in 2017 was it was almost like a kind of trial. Let's see, so Facebook, there's a lot of adverts started to go out. There was a lot of publicity about it, and they were interested to see, okay, what's going to be the take up of this? How big is the possibility? And they didn't realize quite how huge it was going to be. And it was, it was massive. And it was people like us, it's mums and dads and people of our generation and older, who were interested in it and who started putting in, and it might just be $500, it might have been 5,000, whatever. It doesn't really matter how much you invest, but there was a lot of uptake. And so suddenly the demand just went through the roof, and so the price went through the roof as well. But what they didn't realize, they hadn't really kind of prepared for that, and the infrastructure wasn't there. And so they literally kind of had to shut it down again. And so that's what happened in the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, was that they kind of shut it down and it collapsed because the infrastructure really wasn't there to support this huge demand. And so they needed to shut it down. And all the institutions were like, oh, okay, right, we need to build up our technology to be able to make use of this. And so that's what's been happening in the last 18 months or so since that happened, was that all of these institutions have been building up their technology, have been looking at ways, building their own what's called on-ramps, so they're ways of getting into the system, and then being able to utilize it and being able to appeal to their clients. So one of the things that's happening this month, actually in July, is that the New York Stock Exchange is opening up their own storage facility of Bitcoin. Now this is massive, because a lot of people, especially I guess more wealthy people, because at the moment what you have to do is you're storing your own Bitcoin, yeah. So, and I'll explain that process. But you're storing your own Bitcoin in your own wallet, and so it's your responsibility to keep it safe. You know, there's lots of pass keys and all this sort of stuff. It's your responsibility to keep it safe. Now, some people, especially if you're investing a lot of money, don't want that responsibility. They want to have a safe third-party storage facility, and that's never been available yet. However, that's changing this month when New York Stock Exchange, it's called BACT, which is BAKKT. That's launching this month. So they're, excuse me, I just have a drink of water. They've set up this whole independent storage system, and this is going to appeal to, like I say, wealthy people. It's going to appeal to hedge funds, you know, all of these people who are investing for other people. They need to make sure that it's safe, but they don't want the individuals don't want the responsibility of holding on to it. And so what BACT does is it literally allows you to just say, I'd like to buy this, you know, I'd like to buy 2 Bitcoins or whatever it is, and they store it for you in their own system. So this really opens up a massive new market that hasn't been available before, and loads of different other institutions. So a lot of the big finance companies have also been putting in a huge amount of work to understand how they can utilize this technology, how they can utilize Bitcoin for their own clients. So there's been a massive surge in the technology that's been developed over the last 18 months, and this is now starting to get rolled out. And this is why the demand starts starting to build again, is because, you know, it's just like they've opened up, they've got the infrastructure ready, and they're kind of like, right, okay, now we're set to really kind of welcome people on board and be able to make the most of it. So, I mean, back in, I think, so Bitcoin was the first one. Bitcoin was the first currency, the first cryptocurrency, and it's kind of like the grandfather. So it's the one that's worth the most. As I said, it's about $11,000 at the moment. It's this week has been a massive week for Bitcoin. It's gone up and down between 10 and 14,000 US within days, or literally within hours. So it's incredibly volatile at the moment, and I guess that's something to say that this is a very, very volatile market just now. And when I'm thinking about it, I'm very much saying I'm not in a short-term thing. It's very much for 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the track. You know, it's because I'm not interested in trading. You know, as it takes a huge amount of energy and focus and all, that's not what I'm interested in. But it is for the kind of the long term. And so there's also a part of managing your own psychology around this, and your own kind of, as it goes up and down, and you're just keeping steady, I guess, and just knowing the times to invest, the times to just sit still and just allow it to do what it's doing, but knowing that we're looking at 2, 3, 4 years down the track for when we're, hopefully, I mean, they're estimating that a Bitcoin will be worth about 250,000 in a few years' time. They think that that's the sort of level of demand. We're at 11,000. So, there's still a massive growth there that they see as possible. Now there's, back in, I think it was, just checking my notes, but yeah, it's back in 2011, there was alternative coins starting to be developed. Now Litecoin, I think, was one of the first, in Ethereum. They were the first, kind of next coins to be developed. And what's happened now is we have, I mean, there's 1,000, I think, different coins and tokens. So there's some which are currencies. So Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ripple, there's Bitcoin Cash, there's a few currencies, and then there's tokens. So they're very different. So there's currencies which are actually going to be a currency that you can use, and there's tokens which are more like, I guess, shares, or investing in a project, or investing in a technology or something like that. So there's two different things. Bitcoin is it's the grandfather. It's the one that's worth the most at the moment, and what a lot of the things are kind of attached to. So as Bitcoin goes up, then others go up in relation to that. But the problem with Bitcoin is that because it's so secure, and because there is so many validations required for each and every transaction, there's not that many transactions can happen per second. And so it's not really a valid currency to use on a day-to-day basis. Bitcoin isn't going to be the currency that you'd use to buy a coffee or something like that. It's going to take too long for each transaction to be validated. And so what they've done is they've set up these other currencies, which it's like Litecoin is one of the main ones, Bitcoin Cash, and these are the ones that we would use on a day-to-day basis. So Litecoin have recently, I think it was in the last week or two, have just they're doing pre-orders for their debit card. So where that you can literally use your debit card like we do our cards just now, to be able to buy your shopping and your groceries and your cup of coffee. Sorry, wait a minute, my son's just here. He's ill today. You okay, darling? You can come and sit in here if you want. Okay, that's fine. He's off school today. So there's these different currencies which are going to be the ones that we use on a day-to-day basis. And Bitcoin is going to be like gold. Do you know? It's how we use gold. So gold is where you hold your value. So it's, so if you're wanting your savings, then you would hold it in your Bitcoin. But if you're using it for day-to-day stuff, you'd use either Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin, and that will kind of, over the next couple of years, I guess we'll see which ones are going to be used predominantly. But Litecoin are certainly one of the forefront, because of the infrastructure they've set up. They can do thousands of transactions per second, because it's almost like having like your petty cash, like in the office, where the petty cash, so at the end of the day it's all tallied up, but it's not, each transaction isn't kind of jotted down and validated at the time. It's at the end of the day or the end of the week, and that's kind of what Litecoin's so it's slightly off the main infrastructure of blockchain, if that makes sense, because it makes it a lot quicker. It's possible to do it for day-to-day transactions, etc. So, and then we've got all these other different coins, which are projects and technologies and all sorts of things. And there's like 1,000 of them now, and so many different people and institutions and everything else that are launching into them. And I'm not really going to go into them too much. This was more about just trying to give you an overview of what crypto and Bitcoin are, and help give you some steps to getting started, to invest. I can give you details. So I follow some, and I'm part of a conscious, it's basically a conscious crypto circle, because there is many people who are really wanting to bring this forward in an ethical way, in a way that's, yes, there's money to be made from this, it's, for sure. But one of the things I see is this is about, the new world. This is about breaking down of the old systems. It's about the change. We can't have a change of systems when there's so much corruption and there's so much, mismanagement and kind of inequality, and it feels like the whole system kind of needs to be pushed out the way and a new system come up, and I guess that's why I'm so excited with this, is because it feels like this has a possibility of doing that. There has to be a breakdown of the system that we have, for us to be able to bring some form of new world in, as far as I'm concerned, from a monetary point of view. So yeah, so there's some amazing, very conscious people who are involved in crypto, and who are really wanting to see how we can use this in a conscious and ethical way, so that when wealth is made, that we can use that to to fund the dreams of how we create change in this world. Like, what can we do to bring this into third world countries, developing countries? What can we do to for the planet and everything else? So really understanding this from a conscious and an ethical point of view, not just from a money making point of view, because that's, again, it's not why I'm in it either. It really feels like it's a way of bringing things a lot into a different realm. So I won't go into the altcoins and stuff like that, but I can give you details of the guy that I'm following, and his inner circle, and because he's one of these obsessive people, who just researches everything, and he's giving some amazing advice about different coins and stuff like that to invest in. So yeah, it's I see it as a really exciting world. Like, it's got such huge potential, and at the moment it's incredibly volatile, and I think it's going to get messy. To be honest, it's not like the old system's just going to break down and just go, oh well, there we go, that was that. It's going to be messy, and it's going to be, I think it's just going to be chaotic for a while. But for me, I feel like it's a great thing to be investing in this new system, and trying to get into break away from the old systems that we have. And that's, I guess, one of the reasons that I'm really interested in it. But it's knowing that this is a very volatile market, and so making sure that you're only investing money that you don't really need for the next couple of years. That's money that you can say, you know what, this was just going to sit in my bank account and create interest. I can use it for this instead, and we can just see what to go with it. But don't invest where you don't have money left. It's because it can drop 20% in one day, and it does, it just up and down and up and down, and there's so many different things. And it's interesting because Facebook have actually just launched their own coin. Now, this is not decentralized. And this is not, they call it Libra, which is just ironic, because it is just nothing to do with freedom or anything. Like, it is run by Facebook, Amazon, like huge, massive institutions, and it's a trap. Basically, it's the way I see it. It's a trap of just bringing you in, and they're going to really try and encourage you to use this. So it does come away from the bank, but they're going to create their own bank, so it's a form. I see it as a real form of control. So yeah, don't invest in Libra. Stay away from Libra. It hasn't launched yet, but I don't know whether you can buy it yet or not, but it's completely against what Bitcoin is standing for. Because it's not decentralized. It is owned by the biggest institutions, and it's a way, because Facebook and Amazon, there's such data, they collect all your data. If they can then collect all your financial data too, then they're going to be happy people. So yeah, it's a completely different ballgame, that one. So yeah, that's not what we're about at all. So does anybody have any questions just about that before I kind of go into the step-by-step stuff and just talking about that? Yeah, Andrea, I'll meet you, lovely. And I'll see. How are you?
Yeah, good. A few questions.
Yeah.
You mentioned about, so the hacking hasn't happened on the coin on the exchanges. I was curious, and I wonder if we might see a rise in people trying to hack our devices then, because our devices are the storage facility for these.
Yeah. So
how might Apple and co, responds to that? Because we want to be sure that our device, or our, Apple or Norton antivirus or whatever it is you're using for your PC is going to be up to scratch to support this whole emerging technology.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to go into that on the step-by-step thing, because it's things like using VPNs, encrypted emails, all of these sorts of things, so that, every time that I log on to my wallet, so there's an online wallet, which is called a hot wallet, and then you've got a cold wallet, which is like a USB. So when that's your USB is where you would, it's like your safety vault, it's like where you would store everything. And your hot wallet, which is online, is the one where you would do your transactions from. So it's like your everyday wallet. Yeah. So, but every time I log on, I always switch on my VPN. So I make sure that my, the IP address is always changing, so that that's to make sure my internet, so I'll move into it actually, because that leads into it. Is there anything else before I do that? Because I'll cover all of that. Is there any other questions? Yeah.
Two others, and just let me know if you were going to cover them anyway. You mentioned about the New York Stock Exchange providing their storage system. I suppose a couple of questions. But can we trust that? And isn't it just another third-party environment like a bank?
Yes, it is. It is. I don't know. I don't know if you can trust it or not. Like I can't answer that one. Do I want to trust it? No. I like to know that I have, when it's in my wallet, that's mine, and that it is only me that has access to it. They're certainly setting up, if you go, I had a quick look on their website last night when I was just researching for the links and stuff I wanted to share with you. It's, I don't quite get it, but it's certainly that's what it's saying, as a safe storage solution. I don't know how it's backed, and I think that would be the interesting thing, because it's the same as bank accounts. Bank accounts are backed, but they're only backed to like $70,000 or something. Like after that, if the bank goes bankrupt, then you lose everything over and above 70,000. So I don't know how that would work, and I haven't looked into it, to be honest, because I'm not interested in using it.
The last question, which you'll probably talk about anyway, is just the timing to invest. You talk about the volatility. Okay.
No, I'll cover that as well as we go through it. Okay, cool. I'm going to share my screen just because I've got, so that there's things that you can jot down. So let me just do, let's see if I can share my screen here. So share. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, can you see that? So I've gone through the first ones. Yeah, I think I've done all that. Okay, so so the first part, so this is like kind of how to invest. Like step one is security, and that is exactly what you said, Andrea. That is the most important thing to start with, is to make sure that we have this security before we start, because we don't want to, the most vulnerable part is the exchange part, and that's where there has been a couple of exchanges that have been hacked. Not many, but there has been a couple, so that's where you kind of, you buy your money, you buy your Bitcoin or whatever it is, and then you get it out of there into your wallet. The security is first. So internet security, so your own internet security, like whether it's Norton or whatever you use, just making sure you have that. Then, like I say, using a VPN. So you can download these. I've got Nord, there's ExpressVPN, CyberGhost. There's quite a few different VPNs. And then what the VPNs do is it basically changing your IP address. So the address of your computer. So they can't track exactly where you are. So they can't track that it's coming from the same computer. So having your VPN on, whenever you're going to log on to do anything to do with crypto, just helps it to be harder, because they can't hone in on that one address. They can't say, okay, there's that one address, logging on again. So having your VPN, and there, I can't remember how much I paid for Nord, but the Nord one covers like 6 different devices. So I can have it on my phone, I can have it on my, you can have it on your, actually on your router. However, I think you need to be careful because there's some like banks or stuff like that start getting confused, do you know, if it's always coming from different IP addresses. So I've just got it on my computer. I don't use my phone for crypto because it doesn't feel right to do that, but yeah, a lot of people do. And so you can put it onto your phone. I can put it onto my husband's computer and stuff like that. So it covers a few different devices. So that would be the first thing. The next thing to set up is an encrypted email. Now, a lot of people don't do this, but I do. And again, I just think it's an added, it is an added layer of protection. These are free, but it means they're completely encrypted. So Proton Mail is the one I have. There's Hush Mail and Counter Mail are other ones that I've found. And it just means it's completely encrypted so that people can't basically intercept the email and see what's being written or being sent. Because what happens is when you're buying from exchanges, it doesn't happen with your wallet, but when you're buying from exchanges, you have to verify through your email address. And so this just, again, is just another added layer of security, is having an encrypted email. So setting up your internet security, your VPN, your encrypted email. And then the other thing is your Google Authenticator app. Now, it all sounds a bit complicated. It isn't. I'll just show you if you can, wait a minute, if I just pause the share. Wait a minute. I'm not sure. I'll come to, I've got it just on my phone. I'm not sure if you can see me or not. Can you? Yeah, you can. All right. Okay. So on my phone, there's an app here called Authenticator. Again, it's just a free app. But what that does is that it generates a 6-digit number every minute, I think it is. So when you're asking for authentication, you're just going to here and you just type in the number that it's giving you. And most of the exchanges will ask you to set that up. And again, it's because if somebody hacked into the exchange, they couldn't take the money out of the Bitcoin or whatever out of that exchange unless they had your phone, because it's only your phone that has that number. So again, it's another layer. Most of the exchanges will encourage you to set that up anyway. So these are all, apart from the VPN, the encrypted email and the Authenticator app, they're free, and they're just an extra layer of security that you can put in place. So it just makes it harder and harder to access what it is that you're doing, for people to see what you're doing, and then to hack into what you have. Okay, so that's kind of the first bit. The next bit is about the actual exchanges. So exchanges are the place where you buy your Bitcoin or your other altcoins. This is where you put in your Aussie dollars or your whatever whatever money currency that you have, and that you're exchanging it for Bitcoin. So in Australia, we've got CoinSpot, which is the one I use. Bitstamp is another big one. Binance, and I think Binance is possibly based in the US, but it's still used here as well. And Coinbase is another one. So these are the exchanges, and I can, let me see if I can, I'm just going to try and share with you, because I brought it up. Where's my, no, wait a minute, I don't think I can. I was going to try and share with you the CoinSpot page, but it's basically when you, let me see if I can bring it up. Give me a second. Should be able to. If I stop the share and share. No. Okay. No, I can't work because that is not coming up as an option. Okay, I'll just go back to this. So yeah, so anyway, so if you go onto the exchange, now these exchanges are called they know your customer. Okay, so you do have to start entering ID, there's ID requirements for these ones, and this is because there's a lot more regulation coming into the industry, and which is a good thing. Do you know, it's a good thing because it's making it less for the black market and everything like it was a few years ago. But some people don't feel comfortable with this. There is a way that you can do it where it's purely peer-to-peer, so that you don't have to put in your own details, and that you can just buy. You can buy peer-to-peer, and nobody knows who you are, basically. However, it's like 10% you're kind of over and above the price of Bitcoin for these ones. So it depends how much privacy. No, Dan, please don't do that. Have a look at the toys, okay, or the books. Grab the book or cards. So it depends how much privacy is kind of important to you. These ones they're still safe but they do store your information. But that's why I always say to get your money off of the exchange as quickly as you can. So what you need to do with CoinSpot is that you're going to be entering your details. You're going to be entering your address, your phone number, and your emails and all of this sort of stuff. And then you're going to be sending a picture of your driver's license or a form of ID. So you're sending a picture so that they're verifying who you are. And like I said, most of the exchanges now are all of the exchanges are know your customer. So they do require some ID. And it'll take a day or two for that to get validated. It's fairly simple. You can just take a photo with your computer and send through that. But they're just validating who you are, and this is where you then put in your encrypted email. So when they're asking for your email address, you'd put in your encrypted email into here. So that everything then that goes through the exchange comes through your encrypted email. When you're setting up passwords and stuff for these exchanges, another good thing is to put in spaces. So if you're using as whatever password, putting in a space will also make it a lot harder for hackers. For some reason, it's a lot more difficult if you're adding a space in between something. So that's also another added layer of security that you can use. So that's your first kind of protocol. Once you've got your security stuff set up, is to go onto your exchange and just follow the steps through. So like I say, you're putting in your ID details. You're having the photo of your ID, whether it's driver's license or passport or whatever, and that will get verified, and then you'll have your account. Okay. Now, once you have your account, you can then start to purchase. Now, what you do with this is there's various different ways. You can use Poly, which is P-O-L-I. Now, that's where you're going straight into your bank account. So you're typing in. So I use NAB. NAB, and so I type in my NAB customer number. This is all secure. So you type in your customer number, you say how much you want to pull out of your bank account, put in your password, and then it will automatically, it will instantaneously bring that money into the account. So you can do Poly, you can do bank transfers, you can do, I think you can do, some of them you can use your credit card, some of them you can actually use, some of the news agencies and stuff like that have like ATMs where you can actually add onto your exchange as well. However, there is quite a large transaction fee for doing it that way. Using Poly, there's no transaction fee at all. So if I take $500 from my account and put it into my exchange, there is $500 in my exchange. So there's no transfer fees at all through Poly, and it's instantaneous. So when I'm ready to invest, I'll take it out, pull it in, then I've got $500 showing in my exchange, excuse me, and then you can purchase. So that's kind of getting that set up. You'll then see, let me see, I thought I'd set this up. Sorry, I really want to be able to show you this so that you can get an idea. Just give me a second and see if I can pull this up, because it would be really helpful. Okay, so let's bring up CoinSpot. Here we go. Now, I should, here we go, okay. Right, so there we go, okay, done it. Right, so here's CoinSpot. So that's just the login page. And I'll just show you. Okay, so see how it's asking me for the two-factor code? So that's where you use your authenticator thing. So nobody can go into this even without this one. So there we go. So that's just the number that only my phone has. Okay, so then here, this is here, your main page. Okay, so you can see, so if you want to deposit dollars, you can do it here. And then these are the different ways. So you can do it through BPay, you can do a cash deposit, which is how I was saying, going through into an ATM, and Poly is the one that I use, which is the instant online one through your bank account. So that's how you deposit funds. Once your funds are then, it will show you, so you see I've got $1.63 in mine. So I'm not going to do much with that. So it will show you instantaneously on here, and then you go through. Now we've got buy Bitcoin, XRP is Ripple. So you've got all the different ones. It will show you there's hundreds of different coins. So you've got the most popular ones. You've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin. They're the four kind of main ones. And then as you go down, you'll see these are the movers, so the ones, so you can see here, you've got ones that are losing 27%, ones that are going up 11%, incredibly volatile. So that's your kind of your main page. So once you've got money sitting here, you can then just, so say if I wanted to buy Bitcoin, I would just tap here. Okay, and then I'd put in how much, this is Australian, so I put in how much Australian dollars, so say $100, and it would tell me this is how much Bitcoin that you're going to purchase with that $100. You'd then buy it, and that would take it out of the money that you have sitting on your exchange, and then sit it into your into here, into what's called your wallet. And this is just in your, it's so many wallets, but it just, that then sits on the exchange. Okay, so you have your Bitcoin sitting on your exchange, so you can then go through and decide what you want to buy, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Litecoin, or any of the others that you've heard about. Ripple is another big one, and Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash. Okay, so that's your exchange. And like I said, yeah, CoinSpot, Bitstamp, Binance, they're all the big ones to use. Once you have moved it, once you've bought it on your exchange, the next thing is to then move it onto your crypto wallet. So this is where you move it into your own wallet. So this is only owned by you. So this is a third party, and you then want to move it into your wallet. Now the wallet, I'm just going to stop this share. Let's see, let's just give me a second. So this is your wallet. Okay, can you see that okay with my wallet, with the wallet? Okay, all right. So the wallets, like I said, you've got a hot wallet and a cold wallet. Your hot wallet is your online wallet. Now this is purely just for you, but you download these wallets. Now Exodus is the one that I use. And that's you, and there's Atomic, and there's quite a number of different ones. Now these are online. And so you just download them, they're for free. You download them, but when you set them up, you're given, I think it's like a 12-word passkey. So there's a lot of security. So it doesn't matter. So you could log on anywhere, and when you use your 12-word passkey, it'll access to yours. I won't be too long, my darling. You're doing well. All right. And so so this is your own storage. So this isn't owned by anybody else. Nobody takes, nobody has access to this. This is just your own wallet. So once you've bought from your exchange, you'd immediately move it onto your wallet. Now, and this is where you can keep it. Now, these wallets, the hot wallets, are kind of like the wallet you have in your pocket. It's where you would keep your day-to-day money, the money that you kind of want access to. So if you're going to buy, where you're going to exchange from is your hot wallet. Like I say, Exodus or Atomic, and you just move it into there. Now, what you want to do when you set it up, you're given all these passkeys. So again, always make sure that you're using your encrypted emails and all those sorts of things when you're doing it. But also when you're given your 12-word key, write it down and store it in a couple of places, because if you lose that key, that's where you'd start to lose your money. Okay, so this is why some people just don't want this responsibility, because it's your responsibility to keep those keys safe. So I've written mine down. I've got mine stored in my filing cabinet, and then it's also wise to have one kind of out of your house and have that somewhere else as well, so that if anything happened, then you still have access to that elsewhere. Have those pass keys. So this is where this is about you taking responsibility for your own money. And this is where like I say, BACT is coming in, because some people just find that it's just too much hassle. They don't want that responsibility, and so that's why the stock exchange have introduced their own storage system. So so it's very much about taking responsibility for your own stuff. So that's your hot wallet, and you can keep, I don't know, some people say, I don't know, like, it depends how much you're investing. If you're investing 10,000, you can keep a couple of thousand in Exodus, because that's where you're going to be doing your exchanging from, and then you'd keep the rest in your cold wallet. Or if you invest, I don't know, if you're investing 50,000 or whatever, you'd have 40,000 into your cold wallet and 10,000 in your hot wallet. However you like to do things. It depends how much you're moving your money around different places, how much you're using it. The cold wallet is where you get the actual kind of pen drives. So that's like a USB. Now there's a number of them. The most kind of popular ones are the Ledger Nano, I think it's Ledger Nano S, and I think there might be an X now as well, and the Trezor. So you can buy them online, and they get delivered to you, and they're like a USB, or I think the Trezor is a bit bigger. It's maybe about the size of the phone, but they're USBs, and so this is their cold wallet. So this is almost like your like a storage, like a storage facility, like your own safe, I guess. This is like your own safe. So when the money that you're not going to be trading, or you're not going to be sending anywhere, that you just want to keep, and you're keeping for a couple of years or whatever, you're just like, okay, I want that out of the system completely, then you'd put that onto your cold wallet. Now, again, these have 12-word passcodes, which have to be kept safe. If you lose your USB, you just buy another USB. You buy another actual thing, but you still need your it's the passcodes that are going to be the thing that allows you to access the money. So again, is keeping all of that information safe, and that's the most important part. Is keeping all of that safe. Once things are in cold storage, nobody can find it. Okay, so that is completely it's in yours, and nobody can find it because it's out of the system. Yeah, it's stored on your USB, and that's it. So it's completely safe once it's there. The only thing that's it's vulnerable to is you losing your own passwords. But from a hacking point of view, it can't be hacked. With the hot wallets, again, they're not hackable because of the 12 things. But what some people don't realize, I think, is that people can just track. So if they wanted to, they could track that you've sent money from this exchange to this wallet. So they can track that. They can't track any more than that, but they can just see, okay, so this wallet's being used. That's probably as much information as they can get. So they can say, okay, so she just bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, and she's just put it into this wallet, this address. So that's why if you want to store, is just take it off there completely and put it into your cold wallet. And like I said, that's just something that you can keep in your office, or you wouldn't really wander around with it. You keep it in your office, and that's for something that you have your value held in it. Does anybody have any questions around that? Because it's a lot of information around the security and the kind of the exchanges and wallets. So I don't want to. I've bombarded you with quite a lot of info. So if you have questions, I'll stop sharing just now. If you have any questions.
Yes, Anna.
Yeah.
So how do you get it from the hot wallet into the cold wallet?
Yeah, so you just, I wonder if I can, I don't really want to open up my hot wallet. Basically, on the wallet, you've got send or receive Bitcoin. And right. So each wallet has its own address, which it gives you. So when you've got your wallet, you go into your portfolio, and it's divided up into all the different coins. Yes, you've got a Bitcoin part, you've got an Ethereum, a Litecoin, all of these bits. If you want to send Bitcoin, you go into your Bitcoin part and you press send Bitcoin. It will then give you, ask you how much. No, sorry, let's do it the other way around. If you wanted to receive, so say you're wanting to receive Bitcoin, you press receive Bitcoin, and then you would be given this your address, okay, to receive it. So if somebody was sending you Bitcoin, or you were sending from your hot wallet into your cold wallet, you would copy that address, put it into where to send it to, and it would send it. Does that make sense? So you're given the address to send it to. It
goes onto your USB thing.
Yeah, exactly. So each one has its own personal address. So it's a huge long a huge long thing, and you just copy that. So it says send Bitcoin or receive Bitcoin. If you're going to receive it, so if you were going to send me some Bitcoin, I would send you my address, and you would put that into, you'd say send Bitcoin, this amount of Bitcoin, and you'd put my address in, and that would send it directly to me.
All right.
Yeah. So they're all just personalized addresses, which are 20 digits.
Yeah, and it just takes you through it.
Yeah, it's really simple. They've set it up. It's really, really simple. It's literally just send, receive. On the hot wallets, you can exchange. So on Exodus, you can actually exchange Bitcoin for a different altcoin if you wanted to. But generally, you're just sending and receiving from these. That's really all you're doing, because you can't put fiat currency into them. So the cold wallets and the hot wallets, you can't use American or Aussie dollars with them. It's purely for crypto. So that's why you need the exchange. The exchange is the only place that you can bring fiat currency and exchange it for crypto. And then you take it off there into your wallets, but you can't put, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So so you're only using crypto in your wallets, and you're generally only sending and receiving. Most of the time with your cold wallet, you wouldn't really even be sending so much unless you wanted to send to your own wallet, your own hot wallet. Your hot wallet's the one where if you're wanting to make a payment, say I was wanting to pay Andrea some money, then I would use my hot wallet to send that to her hot wallet, and then whatever she wanted to do with that, she could then. Does that make sense?
Yes, because I see that you're accepting these currencies now.
Yeah, I've just started to, just because I want to, I want to encourage people to do that.
Great. So if I wanted to use your services and use Bitcoin, say,
yeah,
go to my hot wallet and transfer it to you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's instantaneous, and you can just, you generally with the hot wallets, you just specify your 100, say $100 worth of Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever it is, and you just send that, and it just, there's small transaction fees. There is very, very small transaction. Actually, I can't remember. There is from the exchanges, but actually I'm not sure from the wallets. I don't think there is actually. No, I don't think there is. From the exchanges, there is very small, not when you're sending and receiving, but when you're buying. So there is transaction fees there. But yeah, so generally, if you're just sending and receiving, it's from your wallets. Your exchange, the only time you're using exchange is when you're bringing more currency in, when you're investing more of your own fiat money into the system. That's the only time you use the exchange. Yeah. Does anybody else have any other? Yeah, Lisa.
In terms of the amounts, so say I wanted to pay you $100 worth.
Yeah,
it would be calculated based on the value in that moment.
In that moment, yeah, because it's changing so much. It's literally on that moment that it will calculate how much $100 worth is of whichever currency that you're using. Yeah, and then it just sends it, and like you say, it's an instantaneous send. And this is it's why you're basically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. I had another question.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, normally when we invest money or when we've got our money sitting, there's the interest that accrues, or there's whatever else comes from our investments.
Yeah.
So, I understand that this is not, unless you wanted to trade and really try and make money from that, that's not really the intention, but potentially there is an upside. Say if you've got a reasonable chunk of money sitting in there, that as the value increases, that's where you would be potentially making money.
Yeah.
Rather, so the money's not it doesn't just sit.
No, and this is exactly. Bitcoin, like I say, Bitcoin, there are over the next few years expectations it could reach up to 250,000. So say if you invested $1,000 now in Bitcoin and it's at 10,000, just for easy numbers, you're going, what's that, 25 times, so you'd end up with $25,000. If you did nothing else and just sat there, you'd end up with $25,000. So from that point of view, that there's definitely money to be made. With Bitcoin, it's going to be, because it's already reached $10,000, it's still definitely going to increase. The thing with the other coins is some of them are still trading. Some of them are trading at $100. Some of them are trading at 1 pence or 1 cent. Sorry, that's my UK mind coming in. So some of them are still at tiny amounts, and this is where massive amounts of jumping can happen. Because if they're sitting at 1 cent at the moment and they jump to $1 or $10 or for some of these, then there is a lot of money to be made where it's 100 times, it's 180 times, whatever times what you've invested, and so there is a lot of money to be made. There's a massive amount of money to be made with this. And I guess that's why, for me, why I joined the crypto circle that I'm in, because he's doing all the research. I don't have the time, I don't have the interest to research all of them, because he's also looking at your ethical. So making sure that they're ones that he agrees with from a principle point of view. He's doing all sorts of research to make sure it ticks the boxes for his criteria. and that they're solid kind of things, because out of the 1,000 altcoins, there's going to be some which just crash and burn, and they're not going to be worth anything, and there's others that are going to rise exponentially. So yeah, there's a lot of money to be made from these, and yeah, so I guess it's depends. I think if you even if you just invest in Bitcoin, which is a lot, I guess, safer, not from normal, but in the crypto world, Bitcoin would be a lot safer, but there's less growth there, because it's already grown so much. It's already hit the 10,000 mark, whereas some of the others, Litecoin, which excuse me, Litecoin is one of the ones, like I said, they've just launched their own debit card so that you can use, you start to be able to use it just as we would with our FPOS card. That's still trading at about 120, 130. So it's still at a lot lower rate than Bitcoin is, and so that's got a lot more growth to happen. And then there's other ones as well, which, like I say, are even lower than that. So yeah, and that's just finding out. I'm not an expert in all of them, which is why I've joined something else for somebody else to do the research on it, because it's not my cup of tea to do the research on it, but I feel that it's somewhere that I want to invest in. And like I say, it ticks a lot of boxes for me, for the breaking of the old system, and of being able to really kind of come away from the governing bodies, I guess. But then if we can make money from it also to fund the dreams of what we have for how we want to change the world, then yeah, awesome. That's a tick for me. So yeah. Does anybody else have questions about the actual steps? And then I can go into the coins a little bit. You're doing good, Dan. No? Is that all? It is simply set out, it's just go into it, sort out the security stuff first, then go into exchange, get yourself set up with the exchange. It will take a day or two, probably just to get it all verified. But just go into that and get that set up, and then just do your first transfer, using Poly or whatever, transfer $500 or whatever you feel okay to transfer, and just get a feel for it, so that you kind of go, okay, all right, this is what I do. And then, like you say, download Exodus onto your laptop or your main computer. You can use that on your mobile as well if you want to. So I think they're often saying that if eventually what they'll be able to do is that you just have a code that you just use your phone, the same as they're doing with banks at the moment. You use your phone and just ping, and it just takes it out of your hot wallet. I'm not using my phone at the moment for it because I'm not using it on a day-to-day basis, and I'm not exchanging a massive amount or regularly either. But you can put it on, and I'd suggest using a VPN if you're using your phone, and just be very careful if you're using your laptop or whatever in a Wi-Fi area, a free Wi-Fi, not in your own house. Just make sure you've got your VPNs on, because those are the places where most hacking is likely to happen, is when you've got a public Wi-Fi place. So if you can just keep it on your own computer, that's great. But if you are using it out and about, just make sure you've got your VPN on, just to keep you extra safe. Yeah.
One question. So it sounds like it's like a process, like deciding that you're going to go, and then like preparing yourself and going and like organizing the cold wallet, so then when you've actually got the money there, you can transfer it. So
exactly. It takes a little bit of time. I mean, it can. I'd say if you just sit down, you do it in a couple of days to get all the stuff you're kind of set up, not full time, but just because it takes it can take a few hours to get verified on your exchange. So yeah, but there's nothing too complicated. It's just a series of steps that kind of you need to take. the cold wallet, that doesn't have to, if you're only investing a couple of thousand just now, just to see how it feels and just to get a feel for it, you might not even bother about the cold wallet. Cold wallets cost about $100, between 80 and I think it got to about 250 or something. But so if you're only going to invest a little bit of money to start with, then don't bother with the cold wallet. Just stick with the hot wallet. They're still secure. It's still absolutely fine just to keep that on and just see how you feel with it. And if it feels like an area that you want to go into more, then great. And then, as you invest more and you get towards 10,000 or something, you go, actually, do you know what? I don't feel comfortable having that there. I'd like to take 5,000 out and just stick it in my cold wallet. Then that's fine. But I think it depends on the quantities that you're investing. And if you just want to start dabbling, then don't worry about the cold wallet just yet. I'd just wait. And then everything else, there's no cost involved, apart from if you haven't got a VPN. That'd be the only thing that's cost. Other than that, everything else is free to set up, so you don't have to actually outlay money. And then you can just sit with it, because often it's a nervous system thing as well. Like, it's just, how do I feel with this? And as we're watching it going up and down and stuff, like, how can I manage this? So just sit with it. It's and the more research you do and the more interest you take in it, you'll get a feel for what feels right for you. Some people are doing a lot, some people are just dabbling. But it's everybody's own journey with this one, for sure. Yeah, thanks. For sure. No, that's fine. Anybody else just now, and then I can go into the coins a little bit. No? Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. All right. No, that's fine, lovely. I'm glad you joined us. I hope you find it helpful. And then if you've got any questions over the next wee while, please just send them to me and I'll do my best to answer them, or whatever. So do just give me a shout. I'll go on to the four main coins are Bitcoin. So that's, like I say, that's going to be your gold. That's the one where you keep your value. So say if suddenly one of them goes, you've invested in one of the altcoins and it's just gone crazy, you've made a lot of money, you then transfer that into Bitcoin, because that's where you're going to keep your value. So that's although it is volatile just now, it's the one that's going to be a lot more, it holds its value. Yeah, it doesn't hold its value at the moment, but it will. I think the predictions are it will. So that's kind of where you would hold the bigger quantities of money. I know the guy that I follow, he suggests, so say 50%, depends how much you're investing, but say 50% into Bitcoin, and then divide the others out into the other ones if you want to. If you want to just do Bitcoin, then that's fine. But predominantly that would be your main one. But to be aware that it's not going to make as big as money, because it's already done big jumps. So it could go up 25 times. But that's over the next few years, whereas some of them are jumping up really quickly, very fast, and a lot more. So yeah, we've got Bitcoin, Litecoin. As like I said, I've mentioned that a few times. That's the one that's going to there's a couple, Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, and I think there's another one that's trending. I can't remember which one that one's called, which are all being set up as your day-to-day currency. So what you're in the future, what we would use to buy coffees and groceries and everything else. So that's Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and they're not trading as nearly as the same amount. So like I said, Litecoin is about $130 just now, but quite likely, especially because it's got a really good infrastructure set up behind it. Like I said, it's already got its debit card being launched, and the speed at which it can do transactions, because this is the problem with Bitcoin, it can only do a few transactions per second because of the level of security that it has, because it has to be verified by so many different points, each transaction. It's not a viable one for day-to-day transactions. whereas the Litecoin and the Bitcoin Cash have been set up where it's not as verified, so it doesn't take so much energy and time to do each transaction, so it can do thousands and thousands of transactions per second. So, you know, it might be worth looking at that one. Ethereum is another one, which is the second biggest coin at the moment. So that's a whole big platform that's been set up. And there is Ripple as well. So the four ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and Litecoin are the four main ones at the moment. Finlay, all right, Dan, I'm nearly finished. You've done so well. Poor thing. So yeah, so they're the four main ones. I personally, Bitcoin and Litecoin are the two. I've got a little bit of in Ethereum as well. I haven't invested that much in Ripple. I don't know much about Ripple, to be honest. A lot of people are talking about it, and I haven't done my research on Ripple too much, so I can't tell you too much about them. But that's I think that's the third or the fourth biggest coin at the moment, the one that is really generating a lot of money each day, you know, like that people are using a lot each day. So that's that one. With Bitcoin, like I say, because it's going up and down so much, it is about looking at when we should invest. And I'm just passing on the information that I'm getting given at the moment, is to, you know, this is an accumulation stage. It has been for the last wee while. He's saying to, you know, as long as it's below 15 at the moment, is to, you know, it's a time to invest. Because it's going to go up and down, you know. So I think it was last Friday, it went all the way up to 14, and within about 5 hours it fell all the way back down to 10 again. So watch it, you know, like if you see it on a massive big up, because on CoinSpot you can see the charts. So if in the day or in a 3-day you can see there's a massive up spike, it's probably worth waiting until it drops back down, because generally if it's going crazy for you know, especially over a very short period of time, like a couple of days, then it's likely it'll come back down, find another level. So you're sometimes better just to wait and not get this FOMO, because this is where you need to watch your psychology. Do you know, this fear of missing out, and we can kind of start panic buying or whatever if we start watching. So it's just being very aware of our own psychology with it. And so yeah, if it's going on a massive hike for a couple of days, it's sometimes worth just waiting, and it will drop back down again. So you keep it sitting. Yeah, you can do. I mean, but poly is instantaneous. So do you know, if you're, you know, it literally takes 2 minutes to do a trade from your bank account into it. And so, you know, you can just sit and watch it and then go, actually, okay, I can see that it's dropping, and I'll buy it. Yeah, okay, so you've done poly, so you know it. So it literally takes, you know, once you've set it up, you don't even need to set it up. Once you've got your exchange, it'll just take a couple of, you know, it'll be instantaneously into your exchange, and then you can buy it then. But it is just worth watching what it's doing. Like I say, at the moment it's generally sitting around 10,000–11,000. It is still edging up. So like, you know, from the beginning of the year, it's gone from about 3. So, you know, it's rising quite a lot this year, and it'll keep having spikes, you know, and then it drops back down, spike and drop back down again. But yeah, that's generally what he's saying is up to about 15 at the moment is buying. If it's going above that just now, just wait and wait for it to drop back down again. And also, if you know, say if you're going to invest, I don't know, like 3,000 or whatever, maybe do like 500 on a Monday and then on the Thursday, so that you're getting different prices, so you don't just buy at one point. Oh, Finlay, give me a second. I need to give him a cuddle. Come here. Come here.